I still don't think John Morant's going to get traded this season. And this is despite that new news report that the Grizzlies are seeking and fielding trade offers, which I do believe, by the way. I absolutely think that's the case, and that should be the case. And we also got this new tidbit that Ja was feeling disalienated from his teammates after he was suspended, and they were kind of told to give him some space and to give him some time off, and he was feeling a little bit separated from that. And look, it all kind of does point to the Grizzlies moving on from Ja, and I'm not surprised that they want to, and I don't think that's a bad idea. But I just think that when you look at the trade that just happened with Trae Young, and of course these two players are different, and I do think that Ja is more valuable trade value wise than Trae. I think because of that, there's still a lot of similarities between these two guys and their situations, and I think that speaks volumes to what the market is for a guy like John Morant right now. And I think that the Grizzlies are absolutely not in the same place the Hawks were, and they don't need to make a trade just to shed him like the Hawks did. So first off, with both Trae and Ja, right, these are 2 point guards who kind of peaked 3, 4 seasons ago at this point. Obviously, Trae was at his best in 2021 and 2022, and Ja was at his best in like 2022, 2023, of course, right? And those years, I mean, Ja was a borderline top 10 player. He was averaging 26, 27, 6 rebounds a game, right? 7 to 8 assists. And in the playoffs, he was absolutely going crazy. I just posted a video on Instagram about this. And yeah, this was absolutely a franchise cornerstone at the time. And of course, over the last 3 seasons, he's had a combination of off-court issues and injuries, and he's just not the same player he was before. This season, he's averaging a career low 19 points per game, still giving you 7.5 assists, but he's shooting 40% from the field, 20% from three. 3 point numbers don't matter as much to me because he never could be dependent on as a shooter from there anyways. But the point is, he's obviously taken a big step back offensively, and it's not clear if he can ever return to what he was before. Actually, I don't think it's not clear. I think it's pretty obvious he's not going to be who he was at age 22, 23 again. And a big part of that is just the injuries. He hasn't really had like a huge ACL or Achilles tear, but when you get hurt on landings as often as he does, right? Because his whole game is based on just relentlessly attacking the rim and putting pressure on it. And he can be a little bit reckless. And that recklessness has caused him to be hurt the last 5 seasons, honestly, right? I mean, he's been getting injured since like 2021, since they played the Jazz in that playoff series. And look, I just think that that definitely bleeds into your mindset as a player. Even if your body is 100%, you're never going to be as aggressive attacking the basket again after a while because you're just scared of getting hurt again. Derrick Rose kind of spoke about this, and you just see it with players in general, right? As players age, they just get a lot less aggressive and reckless attacking the basket. It's kind of just part of protecting your body, right? Like the way Kobe played when he was when he was 21 years old versus how he was playing at 28 was completely different in regards to how aggressive he was attacking the basket. And I don't think Ja is 100% physically either. Obviously, he's hurt right now. He has a calf strain, but he hasn't been 100% physically for a long time either. And I just don't think he honestly will be again. He might have another season or two of miraculous health, but I don't think that NBA players who are injury prone get less injury prone, really. It obviously has happened with some cases, like with Steph, of course, but it's very much a rarity. And for a guy who is physically, obviously Ja is physically advantaged from like an athleticism standpoint, but from like a physicality and durability standpoint, absolutely not, right? He's 6'2", and he's a very slender 6'2" as well, too. He gets beat up. His play style is kind of demands and necessitates Ja getting beat up inside in the paint. And yeah, it's just pretty unlikely he ever gets back to that form, which is fine. And I don't think any team that's trading for him is going to like bet on that either. I think they're hoping for him to get back to like at least efficient scoring, getting back to like that 47, 48% from the field at least, right? Maybe a better three ball, still giving you that same passing, averaging like 23, 24 points per game maybe. But that's still a very risky bet. So that's who Ja is as a player. And I do think that he does project better next to teammates compared to Trae Young, of course, who I mean, they're both not great on defense, but Ja is still better on defense when he tries because he has more physical tools. And offensively, even though he's a worse shooter than Trae, he's a lot better, a lot less ball dominant. And of course, I do consider him still a bit of a ball dominant player, but Yeah, if you like run Jaw off an Iverson cut, he can still just rip and go and attack, and he doesn't need to kind of monopolize possession for 12 seconds off the shot clock to run a high pick and roll every single time like Trae Young does. And that's why the Hawks kind of had to trade him because they wanted to build around Jalen Johnson, but they couldn't really play through him while also putting Trae Young on the court at the same time. Because in order to justify playing Trae Young, you kind of need to give him the ball the entire time. And they don't want to do that. They want to give the ball to Jalen Johnson. So I understand why the Hawks traded for him. Of course, traded him away, sorry. And of course, the value was very low. And that's not what you wanted. And they should have done it a lot earlier. But the point is, it made basketball sense to have him off the team this season just to give Jalen Johnson more of that runway. And of course, his he's not opting into his $48 million player option this summer, which does hamstring their cap a little bit more. On the other hand, with the Grizzlies, though, I think that Ja still makes this team better when he's on the court, even though he's not playing well right now, because they don't really have a point guard who can kind of create half court offense anywhere close to the level John Morant can, right? The Hawks had Jalen Johnson do that. I mean, the Grizzlies point guard is like Cam Spencer. I mean, he's more of a two guard. He's a lot better as a two guard. I think they're playing like Vince Williams as their two guard. I think he as their backup point guard who's been starting in Jaw's absence whenever Jaw is sitting out, which does happen unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, if you want to develop guys like Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells, Santi Aldama, who I guess is kind of developed at this point and who I love, by the way. And then it just helps to have a point guard out there who, even with Ja and his like more limited athleticism now, he can still put on rim pressure, get into the paint, collapse the defense. And you kind of just have to hope that as he gets healthier, he can just be on the court more often. But the point is, this is different from Atlanta, who benefited from just having Trae off the team completely. I don't think that's the case for Ja. And I understand there is like tension between him and the head coach. I don't think that means you have to move him because Ja and Issa will have had some disagreements over the offense and how to run it. I think that, it's his first season as a head coach, and it just doesn't make sense to sell as low on possible as him compared to the benefits he still does bring you on the court. And if we think about the actual returns they can bring in, I don't think it would be quite as bad as the Trae Young deal. Of course, Ja's contract is a little bit longer, but it is less. He's owed $39 million this year and then $42 million next year, $45 million a year after in 2028. That does drag his trade value down, even if it's not quite as big as that like $48 million number Trae Young is on, because at least his contract comes off the books next season, right? The Wizards don't have to re-sign him, but whoever trades for Ja has to pay him for 3 more years. And if he's going to keep producing like what he is right now, where he's hurt half the season and when he's playing, he's not giving you like that much, that's a huge bet to take, and not one that if I'm an NBA team who, for example, right, like let's think about the Memphis Grizzlies, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are a team that's really connected to them as a team who, they have Mike Conley, who they can trade back to give him a hometown reunion before he retires, and they badly need a point guard, right? If you're the Timberwolves, I keep confusing these two team names for some reason, and they trade, for example, Naz Reid, which they have to make the money work. It's either him or Julius Randle, and I can promise you they're not trading Julius Randle for John Morant. But it's either Naz Reid, let's put in Mike Conley and like Leonard Miller or something, and you probably need one more player to get the salaries to match. If I'm the Grizzlies, I'm not doing a trade for just those guys. So now from the Timberwolves, I have to give up draft compensation. Do I want to give them like a 2030 and 2032 pick swap? If I'm the Wolves and I'm like really capped out by my assets right now, I am betting hard on Ja rebounding from what he's been the last few years. Because if I make this move, I can't make any other moves really. And if I'm the Wolves, I don't want to do this. I'm really betting on Ja and Ant. First of all, like they're not even that good of a basketball fit. I do think they like fit, of course, and if there wasn't all these risks, I think that it could absolutely work out. But it's the fact that one, this limits their abilities to make any moves in the future, and two, it's not even like a basketball fit made in heaven that makes me go, okay, I'm the Wolves. This is not the move that I think I need to make to help put me over the top, right? Like I have Anthony Edwards, who is on track. If he's not already a top five player, he's on track to be one who I hope can win me a championship. This is not the move and player I want to like really bet on pairing him with to be the guy who helps lead us to the promised land. I'd rather save my assets and try making a move for someone else. Even if the upside is lower for that someone else, because of course, Ja theoretically has a really high upside as this former almost MVP candidate level player. I just I think you'd have to be crazy to bet on him returning to that form, considering the injury history he's had and is just like the way he's looked over the last 3, 4 seasons. Another team, for example, the Houston Rockets, who are completely strapped on both money and assets. I guess they still have, I think, the 2032 first round pick. I think they can give us a swap. I mean, you'd have to trade, Jabari Smith Jr., of course, at least to make the money work. I don't even think that's enough still. I think you still need to find another like 15 million. So you'd have to include Fred VanVleet even, who you can't even trade because he's hurt right now, right? He'd have to say, be okay with that. And I don't think he would be okay with that, of course. Another team I've seen on Twitter a lot is the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, they only have one pick they can trade all the way out in 2032. And you have to give up like KPJ and Kuzma, I think, or they can't trade Miles Turner yet. I mean, they can later, but I'm not trading Miles Turner if I'm the Bucks at least. And if I'm the Grizzlies, I don't really want him back. The point is, like, you're getting back this collection of role players and then, like, one first round pick 6 years in the future. Is this enough for you to move on to from John Morant and sell at its very lowest? And you don't even, like, have to trade him right now instantaneously? I don't think so. It's just not the move that I would want to make if I'm Memphis, right? It's a matter of like returns on both sides. The one team I have seen, which I think could do this, and it's not because they should do this, it's because that this was in their character to do, is the Sacramento Kings. This seems like exactly the type of move they want to do to pair him with Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis, when in reality, they should be blowing this team up. But yeah, shoot, I mean, if they want to give Memphis a pick and see if they have something with John, Levine, and Sabonis, okay, like I would take a Kings pick because that pick could be valuable in like a few years, right? And that's probably the only deal that I would really actually think about accepting if I'm Memphis, because like shoot, you make a deal with the Kings, then that could be like a top 5 pick if it's unprotected, right? But the point is, for most of these teams that like could actually use them and it makes sense for them to add a job, they can't really give up any assets of value for him. And if I'm Memphis, I don't feel like trading John Morant for like a singular first round pick or pick swap or maybe 2 pick swaps and like a second round pick 5 years out in advance. That's just not enough for the on-court value who could still theoretically bring my team, right? And I hate the idea of selling low on players. I don't think Jaw's value could get any lower. And yeah, I mean, I just see a lot more benefits in keeping him on the team if I'm Memphis. And I think they will realize this too. Unless like the locker room situation is just 100 times worse than I think, and it's like, okay, we need to get him out of the city as soon as possible. I think that Memphis will shop him around, take some trade like offers and calls, and realize like, yeah, we're not getting anything that's going to make trading John Morant worth it. But yeah, that's all I had, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already. And I feel like this one was a lot more direct, but I'll see you for the next one. Peace.